Hi all, Andrew here, your Labuan specialist. Better call me if you have any urgent inquiry or join us here for discussions on topics all related to Labuan Financial Center. I've also included a resource link where you may find some useful information or materials, and I hope my video will continue to benefit you. So subscribe if you think this is something you'll be interested in. Today, I would like to share on the topic of will, trust, and foundation. How to best choose the best vehicle to leave a family legacy. Do not mind my cap here, as the extended lockdown in Malaysia has made it not viable for me to comb my hair anymore. So without further ado, let's jump into the slides that I've prepared for you. In this video, you will learn about the characteristics of will, trust, and foundation. Secondly, the differences of will, trust, and foundation. Of course, it will be in the context of Labuan Private Trust and Private Foundation. Thirdly, we will have the advantages and downsides of it. Now let's hop into the instrument of will. Before I start, I would like to clarify that I would be explaining will, trust, and foundation on the premise of Malaysian law. Alright, it will be based on Malaysian and Labuan laws. So, when does a will take effect? It is upon death, and upon the death of a person, you will need to obtain a grant of probate if you have left a will from the court. Alright, it is a rather simple structure. The drafting of a will could be undertaken by anyone so long as you know the structure of it. So what is the structure? There should be at least one representative appointed in your will, basically the person that will be representing a deceased or someone who has passes on to apply to the court for the distribution of your assets according to your will. And secondly, you will need to have two witnesses at least that is not a beneficiary to the will. So it is more suited for families with budget restraint, or where it is not a big family, so it will not be complicated in terms of the distribution of wealth. Coming towards trust, trust will take immediate effect upon the establishment. So a private trust in Labuan, I will show you the structure in the next diagram. And the application or the benefit of having a trust is basically a ring fencing effect against, or rather a protection against, debt collectors or matrimonial disputes. Secondly, the distribution to beneficiaries may be varied from time to time according to your will or instruction to the trustee. Of course, the downside for this is that you will need to trust the trustee when it is executing its duties. And another downside is that your control over the assets would have been given to a trustee. As you could see now in this diagram 1, a trust structure is basically consists of a deed of trust and the settlor, who is the one establishing the trust, and usually it is the one who has all the assets in its own name. And the settlor will appoint a trustee to execute his will in terms of the distribution to his or her beneficiaries. Now, in terms of private foundation, so you would be surprised that a private foundation could only be found in this region, which is Labuan, and you will not find a private foundation elsewhere in Southeast Asia. So when does a private foundation takes effect? It basically takes effect immediately after the establishment, and the structure will be more elaborated in diagram later. And the benefits of having a foundation is that it separates the ownership of the assets of the founder immediately upon the establishment of a foundation. Owning a foundation is similar to owning a corporation where you are a director. You decide on behalf of the corporation or the foundation here in this context what you will do with the asset of the foundation. And basically, a founder will be sitting in as a council member to decide what he wants to do with his assets. However, he does not own any of the assets. Thirdly, you have the simplicity in passing the control over to a successor, where you can define in your charter. I would explain or elaborate further in the diagram below. You will not be worried or concerned that your properties would or may be frozen and not being able to distribute to your loved ones. However, the downside is that not many people knows about Labuan Private Foundation, and that had led to the second downside, where the bank in Malaysia may not recognize foundation as a corporation, and it leads to not able to open a bank account for a foundation. And lucky me, we have worked with certain banks that can provide for a bank account for a Labuan private foundation. Now, in this diagram of a foundation structure, you will see that a foundation is mainly consists of the charter, the founder, and you will need to have one council member. And similar to a corporation, you will require a company secretary. So in a foundation, it is usually known as the officer. And upon the establishment, the management and administration of assets will be decided by the council of the foundation. And as such distribution of assets will be decided by the council for the beneficiaries. As you would see, the founder would basically be in control of all the management and administration of all his assets, but the ownership remains in the foundation. And that's what just I meant by the separation of ownership between the founder and the foundation. Now, thank you again for watching my videos. See you in my next one. Press on subscribe and the bell to get my latest updates. Do not forget that. If you have any urgent inquiry or questions, just call me or leave me a message on WhatsApp. I will be responding to you at the earliest. See you.